this evening, but particularly here. Let me deal then with the elephant in the room, and I want to apologize for bringing the elephant into such a nice room. As many of you know, last Friday, 6 days ago, I had a major heart attack. One of the doctors who treated me called it a big one, and because of that, and to prevent another one, I am actually wearing a personal defibrillator tonight. So I want to warn all of you, if it goes off and there's a loud siren and I'm covered in blue gel, what that really means is your signed copies of the first edition will be worth even more. I had hoped that my cardiologist, Dr. Michael Young, would be here tonight. He probably had to attend to other heart attacks, which seemed to have his priorities not in order. But because of him and the skilled and speedy team at UNC hospitals, I'm here tonight. And I would tell Dr. Young that in the next edition of the book, he will definitely get into the acknowledgments. And I also may update and revise the chapter I had on the emergency room, because I think I have a lot more information to use now. And as long as I'm thanking people, I want to thank right now here my stubborn, obstinate, persistent wife, Carol, who insisted I go to the emergency room when I was saying, "Oh, I'm fine, it's okay." And I love you, sweetie. Thank you.
Good.
And I want to also thank my kids who are also here, Paul and Nora, who has been our medical scribe and has notes that are so much clearer than the things that I have written. I'm going to check my notes to see what else I'm supposed to say. Anyway, I want to thank all of them. And again, I'm really, really happy to be here, to be anywhere tonight. So let me talk a little bit. Oh, by the way, what I should say is, if you think all of this introductory material about my heart attack was a crass and blatant plea for sympathy so that you will buy more books, let me tell you, it is a crass and blatant plea for sympathy so you'll buy more books. You know, I want you to know. Anyway, let me tell you about the book. The book is about baby boomers, as you all probably have guessed. It's the generation, my generation, born between the years 1946 and 1964. It's the generation that gave the world pet rocks and tie-dye T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. It's the generation that remembers, and now somewhat vaguely, the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, the Kennedy assassinations, psychedelic drugs, disco, the Iranian hostage crisis, the gas crisis, the Richard Nixon crisis, and of course the Captain and Tennille crisis, which I'm sure you all remember. Like I said, we're the generation that, in addition to despoiling the oceans and making a hit of Celebrity Apprentice, we brought the world the word groovy, and I think we can all apologize to the world for bringing it the word groovy. The book tries to deal with all of the different problems that we have as boomers these days. You know, we don't see as well as we used to. We don't like to drive at night. We have difficulty hearing, not only when someone is in the next room, but someone is in the same room. We don't, eat as well as we used to. And sometimes even we have heart attacks. We have difficulty. I think maybe the worst next worst problem, we have difficulty pronouncing the word quinoa. And even knowing what quinoa is. But if I had to think of one major problem that we all have as boomers, it's technology. We are not the generation that grew up with it, that had it, in the crib like my kids have. And technology is complicated. Technology is difficult for all of us. So what I want to do now is read a little bit from a chapter called Digital Overload. We grew up in an age of transistor radios. It was a time of limited technological choice. The transistor radios could get only 3 AM stations, and 2 of them were playing Ferranti and Teicher's theme from Exodus. If we wanted to look something up, we went to the Encyclopedia Britannica, remember that? Which our parents had bought on the installment plan, which was kind of an early Venmo, and was sort of like Wikipedia, but weighed more. And volume TAR-VEW didn't have a hyperlink to volume MOU-NYO. Our information screens were limited to 3 television channels, all of which seemed to be showing Bonanza when they weren't showing Have Gun Will Travel. And we'll pause for a second to ask if any of you know, I'm going to have a trivia contest for boomers at the end of this, but I want to ask if any of you know the lead character in Have Gun Will Travel was Paladin, right? What was his first name? Anybody know? His first name, we assume, because the intro always showed his card. It said, Have Gun Will Travel, Wire Paladin. So we assumed his first name was Wire. Anyway, Alexa was not yet a virtual assistant, nor the name of the girl sitting behind us in 3rd grade. That was Carol or Marion or Joan. Sydney was still a boy's name. We also had landlines, although they weren't yet called landlines because they didn't need a first name since they were the only lines we had. New technology was Mom's recently purchased toaster, the one with 4 different settings, including burnt. Today, our low technology generation is awash in high tech, and we are struggling to stay afloat, not to mention connected. We are inundated by a plethora of gadgets and gizmos, overwhelmed with remote-controlled contraptions and multitasking thingamajigs, which of course can only be connected wirelessly, assuming you have the right doohickey. We have surrounded ourselves with a whole new cohort of assistants who do things we hadn't known needed doing. Alongside Alexa, there's Siri and Cortana, Nest and Echo, the Vitamix and the Spiralizer, Bluetooth and Blu-ray, Fitbits and Kindles, Gypsies and Schmalzers. I may have made that last one up, although I'm really not quite sure. Now, in addition, we have the growth of AI, artificial intelligence, with bots like ChatGPT, which can do almost everything a human brain can do, except explain artificial intelligence so some of us can understand it. All this technology has insinuated itself into our daily lives, supposedly simplifying everything we do. But come on. In reality, of course, it complicates everything. Technology is wonderful for I'm breaking from the manuscript here, for getting in touch with grandchildren or making a reservation somewhere, but it's so damn complicated. We now have to program or try to program the electric tea kettle. We must fiddle with adjusting the sleep number of our bed, even when we're napping on the couch. We try to access the whole house thermostat through our phone when we are thousands of miles away from home and can't look out the windows to see if it's raining there. When we return home, we find we've set the temperature to 91 degrees in the living room, and it's snowing in the kitchen. I'm gonna stop and give myself a little break. And my friend David Cooper, a few days ago, sent me, and I quote accurately, a crazy-ass idea. The crazy-ass idea was to give me a break, that some of you would read particular passages that you liked. So let me take that break now. And David, could you go first?
Pardon me while I take my mask off so you can hear me.
There's actually a microphone. We can pass this around.
Okay.
And you can go sit back where you were.
Oh, okay. I think he was trying to get rid of me.
No, it's okay.
Is this actually doing anything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Neil. I'm so glad that you're here. Right after we got the book, Barbara and I had a road trip, and like all good boomers, when we take a road trip, we don't listen to the radio in our car, or we don't play our 8-track cassettes. One of us drives, it's always me, and one of us reads out loud from something erudite, like the New Yorker or the New York Review of Books or something like that. This time we had a spectacular book to take with us, How to Build a Better Boomer. The problem is that we're lucky to be here too, because Barbara was reading the passage, and I'm going to give you a taste of it. She started laughing hysterically. And of course, that's contagious. I was driving, laughing hysterically, and we're lucky that we got, safely to our destination. I understand that in the second printing of the book, there's going to be a warning label that says not to be read in a moving vehicle. All right, so the book is spectacular, but I'm going to read just a couple of passages from Falling into Place. And the emphasis, of course, is on the verb. Then there's falling. As we age, it happens more frequently and can have serious consequences like not getting up. Although with many in our age group, I have some experience with falling. I have fallen walking down steps. I have fallen walking up steps. I have fallen on escalator steps, both going down and going up, and on moving walkways at airports going nowhere at all. This is a great story about, Neil is a runner, which explains why the heart attack, obviously. Right. Once during a recent 5K race I ran, I even fell twice. The other runners were very solicitous as they raced past me each time after I fell, carefully avoiding the blood and being sure not to step on me, which might have slowed them down. And if you're wondering why I was running a 5K race in the first place, it's because there were no 1K races around. And my wife, dear Carol, what was it you wanted to do? Declutter the pantry. So you found a great alibi to get out. I'm going to skip over a little bit now and get to there's a section of pro tips on how to avoid falling, and I'm just going to give you a taste of those. The first one is that you should practice mindfulness, which didn't exist when we were. It's another one of those things that didn't exist. Mindfulness happens now. Focus on the present and be aware of your surroundings instead of being lost in your thoughts. This way, if you start to fall, you will definitely know it and have time to prepare an excuse and to figure out who in your household you can blame. I'm looking at Neil's household here. You can fall-proof your house. Put handrails on all sides of the living room, including the fireplace, especially the fireplace, I don't think. Remove all the furniture from the bedroom. You're not going to need any of that anyway. Sleep on the floor, so if you fall when you're getting up, it's not from a great height. Don't leave tripping hazards like shoes, purses, and the refrigerator on the floor, particularly in areas where you commonly walk. Keep your house brightly lit. You'll be able to see the coffee table just as you're tripping over it. Secure loose rugs by hammering them into the wall. Avoid standing on chairs or stools while running. They're a runner's tip. Instead of using a step stool, become taller. Use grab bars and a non-slip mat in the shower. Super glue that mat to your feet, and better yet, just use hand sanitizer to clean your entire body. Hand sanitizer didn't exist back then.
No,
that's a new thing. Be extra careful going up or down stairs. If your stairs are particularly steep, consider installing a zip line. If there are just a few steps, ask a neighbor to carry you. And the last tip I'm going to share with you is try to avoid hitting your head. If you're falling backward, tuck your chin to your chest, round your back, pull your knees up to your diaphragm, and curse. All the fall prevention advice that recommends you do all that in the split second that you are falling.
Yeah, thank you for the gift. David, could you pass that to my good friend Roger Walden?
Where's Roger?
Thank you. That was wonderful. That was wonderful, and wonderful to have you here. Neil. I've known Neil for a while, and this book is amazing. I got it, and it made me laugh. It made me think. I was inspired. I was scared, and I mostly thought about how accurate it was in describing me. And I'm married to Ann, who's right there, and she read it, and she laughed also, so that's great. One of the things I'm going to do, Neil, is to buy 3 more copies of it, because I have 3 children, and I think that it will help them understand Ann and me better if they read this book. So thank you for all of that. There was I liked everything about the book, but I'm just going to read one passage I particularly found interesting, and it's about marriage and or having a partner, and it's called the chapter is called Together Forever. I'm just going to read one paragraph, but it's about a secret, which is lowering your expectations. Very important, very important. And again, I think my kids need to read this too. Okay, Carol, I know where this is coming from, but okay. So lower your expectations. You know, everybody in this room seems to be kind of a boomer. So I think if we're addressing 30-year-olds or 20-year-olds, I don't think I'd be suggesting that you lower your expectations. But but for everybody in this room, listen to this: lower your expectations. It's important to remember that marriage isn't always perfect. Okay, sometimes there will be bumps in the road, and the coffee will spill in your lap because someone forgot to put the cover on the travel mug correctly. Although we're not naming any names here. So when there are bumps along the road, remember they are almost always your partner's fault. Because you would have taken a different road, probably the interstate. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Roger. Roger, if you could hand that to my good friend Linda. Where are you, Linda?
Right here.
There you are, right there in front of me.
I'm glad you're here too. Okay, this passage, is this working?
Yes.
It's called Food for Thought. If we want to lengthen our lifespan, seem more youthful, and help ward off the downsides of aging, such as getting older, it's not enough just to exercise more and sleep better. As we age, we also have to watch more carefully what we eat and drink. That means, in addition to much else, no more breakfasts full of Doritos, cheap beer, and other essential nutrients. When we were younger, we could eat whatever we wanted, even if all we wanted was good and plenty. Our bodies were young and resilient enough that they could withstand an overabundance of Nestle's Crunch. We didn't know or care if a certain food would help boost our immune system and another could give us scurvy. We weren't aware that apple cider vinegar is a natural laxative and that seeds and whole grains provide the necessary amount of manganese, since we couldn't identify manganese in a lineup. And who wanted to eat seeds when you could get a good humor creamsicle? But as we age, our metabolism slows and is required by law to stay in the right lane. Similarly, our bodies have become less effective at absorbing important nutrients because they have forgotten if they left the nutrients in the pantry or brought them upstairs so they could chew on them while watching TV in the den. So, we have come to the realization that eating healthy and maintaining a well-balanced diet can help us stay energized and lower the risk of developing chronic health conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, and the relentless urge to nag our adult children. Additionally, it keeps our weight at a good level and keeps our minds sharp as a tack, unless we're asked to name the movie we saw last night.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, David. Thank all of you. I want to end tonight with a little boomer trivia. As I mentioned, some of these questions are asked or answered in the book. Some are not, and I may have gotten some of them wrong, so you can all correct me. Okay, here's an easy one. Who was Michael Dukakis's running mate? Anybody know? Yes, that man in the back.
Lloyd Benson.
Lloyd Benson is correct.
Excellent.
A somewhat more difficult question along the same lines. Who was George McGovern's first running mate?
Eagleton.
Very good. What a smart bunch of people here. Okay, here's a question for the baseball fans among you. What was the lineup of the 1960 Yankees?
The Phillies played there.
The sobering thought is I actually know this, and I didn't have to even look it up on anything. So let me just do it to get it off my chest, and I have a lot of other things on my chest. So I really want to do this. So it was Tony Kubek, Gil McDougall, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Bill Skowron, Elston Howard, and Bobby Richardson. And the good thing is, none of you can correct me. Okay, who sang the song Leader of the Pack?
Shangri-La's.
Very good. Oh, do you want to sing it for us?
Let's hear that again. Who was it?
That's pretty good. Well, we have a musician here. So. Anyway, speaking of musical stuff, my last question is, finally, can anybody sing the Rheingold beer commercial? Yes, the lady over there.
My beer is Rheingold, the dry beer. Think of Rheingold whenever
Join in,
you buy
anybody.
beer.
It's not bitter, not sweet, it's an extra dry treat. Won't you try extra dry Rheingold beer? I should have pointed out that the book has lots of other advice I was supposed to say this before the trivia contest. In the next edition, the most important advice will be don't wear Lady and the Tramp pajamas when you go to bed at night because you might end up in the emergency room. And no one my age should wear Lady and the Tramp pajamas. I guess we'll stop here and open the floor to questions if there are any. But before I stop, I really, really want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Having just passed New Year's Eve and my New Year's Eve heart attack, I am reminded of the note in the last scene of It's a Wonderful Life. Clarence, the angel, has sent a note to the Jimmy Stewart character, George Bailey, and it says, and I'm going to try not to break up here, that no one is a failure who has friends. So thank you all so much for being here. And I never had I've seen that scene a million times, like many of us, and never until this last week did it affect me as it clearly has. So again, thank you. Are there any questions? And if there are none, just go and buy the book again. Thank you all again. This has gotten me through a difficult week. The love of my family and the support and love of so many people has just been a joy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.